20th century? Are we facing a new dynamic because of the internationalization, which allows a large multinational to sell books and not pay tax, while our little local shops do pay tax?
Well, of course, I mean, globalisation, I mean, Karl Marx wrote quite prophetically about globalisation back in the 19th century, which was the need of particularly large companies to eradicate artificial boundaries in terms of being able to move goods, jobs and services. So obviously that's something which it goes back a long time. It has been dramatically accelerated, not least, of course, since the 1980s in particular. Now, I suppose the point about, you know, because the argument now is, and this is an argument often, you know, for kind of impotence in the face of massive industrial tax avoidance, is if you attempt to remedy it, then they will simply relocate to another country, which they can do very, very easily indeed. And I think the point there actually is clearly there are things that each country can do individually, and actually we have seen some action. It's not enough, but on the national scale, which is very positive, but obviously we can only genuinely, in the case of tax avoidance, we can talk about tax havens, for example. We've seen quite recently an example of that, the Panama tax scandal, that you need international coordinated action. And again, we are getting some of that. And it's important to make that point because sometimes those of us like myself who believe in social justice, you know, we wallow in defeats. We wallow in the injustices as they exist rather than saying, well, actually, there's something we can do about it. And it's important to do that because you've got to build people's confidence up because otherwise people give up at all the futility of it all. So we are seeing at the EU level, obviously we're now leaving the European Union, but you've had action taken. So what we've seen, for example, at the moment with Google is they've been told to cough up money because of their relationship with Ireland. It's bizarre, Ireland is now trying to sue the European Union to stop Google paying them. But anyway, but they are now, so you are getting that international action. You've had that on a global scale. And that's only happened because people campaigned for it. Tax avoidance was an issue which was on the margins of political debate many years ago. But I think in the aftermath of the crash in particular, people were told there simply isn't enough money. We just have to cut back our spending because we have a deficit between what we spend and what we bring in. And the response of people like in this country, UK Uncut, but other tax campaigners was, hang on a minute, you're telling us there isn't enough money whilst these very rich companies and individuals aren't paying the taxes they should pay. And that's been what's galvanised this as an issue in the last few years. And it is making an impact. But yes, you know, I think it's a two-pronged attack. You can do things here. I don't think we should second accountancy firms to the Treasury to draw up tax laws. I think that's an obvious conflict of interest. But equally, we should be taking international action, building on the limited action we've had, some progress though, but we've got to build far more. And it's not just this country that suffers. It's estimated, of course, that, well, all the research shows it's the poorer countries who suffer the most, that people, their lives, in terms of their actual lives, are imperiled because of the lack of money available, partly because of international tax avoidance. So we can do things, we have done things, we just need to do a lot more.
Okay, thank you. I think